Hello and welcome to another episode of Market House, the podcast where we talk all things Disney. My name's Caleb.
And I'm Caitlin.
And this week we talk about park hopping moving to 11 a.m.
Happily Ever After returning to the Magic Kingdom.
And we share our thoughts on Genie Plus. Let's dive in. And this is episode number 66. And can't wait to get started here. It's been a wild week. So we've been planning for the new year. Getting a little late since I was sick. And first off, before we start, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone that reached out on Instagram, wishing me well, and also just saying congrats on feeling better. I do feel much better. Hopefully I sound better this week. Last week I was like, thank you guys for joining Market House. But I was a little congested still. I'm, for the most part, better. I've got a weird... Sorry, I'm going on a tangent. Already, we're 2 minutes into this. I've got this weird lingering symptom. I've got the driest chapped lips ever. Why are you laughing? It hurts me. It hurts so bad.
I'm not laughing at you. I feel bad that you're hurting.
And I just wiped Vaseline on my mic on accident. So anyways, I've got still some lingering weird issues, but it's much better than what it was. So thank you, everyone, for reaching out. But we've been planning... for the new year with Market House stuff and travel plans.
Yeah, we have a ton of travel coming up.
We do. I'm hoping everything works out. So we're kind of getting the groundwork of what that looks like. And we've also, in the middle of all that, been dealing with these crazy storms, which we're not used to. I know we talked about this last week, but it is a huge deal for California to get this much rain. And we're just not built and it's kind of set up for this amount of rain.
Right.
And so it runs off, like our ground is super hard here. So we've been having some flooding issues. Thank God it's not our house, but the back side of the property has been pretty much a pond for the last week.
Yeah, it's interesting because, again, people who get crazy weather all the time, they're like, come on.
Yeah,
it's been
this
raining.
is just a Wednesday.
Yeah, but it's like when it rains for more than like 6 hours here, everything just floods.
Yeah, everything.
It's insane.
Yeah, and our flood, creeks and stuff flood over. It's just not set up. So we're not used to this weather. So it's been a little crazy. The road that gets to our house, or one of two roads or something like that, is flooded and closed.
We're very thankful. Like Kayla mentioned, that nothing has happened to our home, but a ton of people we know have had water come into their house.
Not fun.
Yeah, it's been a bummer. It's starting to clear up, it looks like, a little bit.
It is. It'll break up in the middle of the week, and then I think it kind of goes away for a while. So hopefully that's the case. And again, if you're in California or anywhere that's having severe weather, our well wishes. Yeah. Because it's not fun. All right. Before we dive into the news and all the fun stuff today, please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcast and or Spotify. Giant help to the show. Again, it just, for some reason, they love seeing reviews on Apple Podcast, and so they'll recommend us to people on there, and it's just how it works.
Yeah.
And please, really quick, please share this episode with a friend. So if you're sitting here going, I enjoy Disney, and I know Sally down the street enjoys Disney, send her a link and say, hey, try these guys out. That would be a huge help to us, and we'd appreciate that a lot. Finally, if you're planning a trip to the parks or anything really, planning a hotel, stay, whatever, please use our Undercover Tourist link. You can see that in the episode description. And if you click on that, it not only saves you a few bucks, but also supports the show. And we appreciate that as well.
And
we have another what?
We have an exciting review.
We have another
I'm
review.
So excited.
Thank you so much. Yeah,
yes.
Caitlin, read it off.
So this is from Bianca Cutie XOXO.
I love it.
The title of the review is awesome. This podcast is very entertaining. As someone who loves listening to people's experiences, this podcast really fits well to my liking. Very informative and really interesting. We'll be listening more.
Thank you,
Thank
Bianca.
You so much.
Cutie XOXO.
XO, I love it.
It reminds me of that show you watched.
Gossip Girl.
Gossip Girl. XOXO or something.
Yeah, but Bianca, thank you so much. Again, we say this every week, but we truly appreciate you taking the time to do that. It not only makes us super happy, but like Caleb mentioned, when reviews do pop up, it does help our show get out there. So we really appreciate that.
Yes. Thank you so much, Bianca. Appreciate that. All right. Let's dive into the news. All right. We have a ton of news for you this week. It was a wild week for theme park news in general. Both Disney and Universal announced a ton of stuff. By the time you're hearing this, it's probably stale news. I apologize. It's just kind of the nature of the beast. When you record on certain days, you're not going to get everything like breaking news, right?
Right. But it was a full week.
It was a full week.
news.
It was like 3 or 4 days straight of just news dumps. So this first story, we're going to focus on Disneyland, and then next we'll focus on all the Disney World announcements.
Just quick little recaps
Yes.
on everything.
You probably already know all this, but let's just go through and go through it.
Let's do it.
Okay. So first off, we've got La Brea Bakery unexpectedly closing its doors on January 9th. So the poor employees, I heard, showed up that morning and were just told, hey, you can go home now. We're closed.
So sad.
So I guess La Brea is going out of the restaurant business and it's closing up. But the exciting thing is Earl of Sandwich will temporarily take over the building.
I am so excited for this. Number one, not only do they have amazing sandwiches, but they have the best chocolate chip cookies.
You are a big fan.
Love them.
They're great to have at the, again, I can't have these, but for you, they're great to have at the hotel room when you've got a little sweet tooth at night. You can just pop one in.
You can buy it. They sell them like little packs.
Yeah.
And they're amazing.
Very
so highly recommend.
So Earl of Sandwich will temporarily be there until Porto's is eventually going to take over that location. And I think the rumor is they're building an entirely new building. So they'll tear that one down and build a new Porto's location. So I heard all that downtown Disney stuff they did announce, though, like Porto's and the new something Fung, the Asian restaurant.
Yeah, that restaurant.
All that stuff I heard is like pushed out for a while. Mm-hmm. So it's going to be years until this is done.
Right. Because they're currently still working on like the Jazz Kitchen right now.
It's going to be a long time.
Because I know that's getting a new name, like the whole thing.
I know.
So it's a whole thing.
Whole thing. Okay. Second thing, park hopping time restriction changes. So it went from 1 p.m. to 11 a.m. at Disneyland. Specifically Disneyland, this starts on February 4th. So I appreciate this news. It is a step in the right direction. So again, it's kind of an arbitrary number. I'm curious as to why it was 1 p.m. to begin with and now it's 11 a.m., but it's huge news. I think people are going to would rather hop over sooner than later, right?
Yeah, and we mentioned this in our 2023 predictions.
We did. We thought that they would get rid of them altogether.
Yeah.
So this is a step there. So it might come true.
Yeah, again, I know some people were like including us, were like, just get rid of it altogether, but I'm so happy at least they cut it down.
For sure.
So it's nice.
Yes, I will be grateful for what we get. Disneyland guests will receive complimentary PhotoPass attraction photos during the 100th anniversary celebration. This is huge news. So now you can just get all the attraction photos you want, download them, anybody.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to be part of Genie Plus or anything, right?
Especially go get those Splash Mountain ones before it goes
yes,
down.
before it goes down, eventually.
Yep.
Lunar New Year foodie guide was released on January 11th. So if you'll be in the parks pretty much now until the middle of February, you'll be able to enjoy the Lunar New Year food stuff.
Yes. And then next up, I want to take this one because I'm so excited for this. I can't even believe it. But on December 12th, it was announced that the French Market and the Mint Julep Bar will be closing on February 17th to make way for a new Tiana restaurant. That's going to be called Tiana's Palace.
Dude, are you serious?
Right when I saw this break, I literally freaked out and I told Caleb, I'm like, oh my gosh, like my Tiana dreams are coming true.
Yeah, it was a text and call immediately.
Yes. It looks, I mean, again, I know it's concept art, so it could change.
Sure.
But it looks amazing. And the fact that it's so fitting now for the area, because New Orleans Square, obviously, and where they used to sell the beignets by the Mint Julep Bar.
Yeah.
They're probably going to have Tiana's beignets there. So it's just, I am so excited for this.
It is a great fit for the area. And I know the Imagineers, they said, and the people that were involved in the movie used New Orleans Square as inspiration for some of the designs in I almost said Tiana's Bayou Adventure. That's the new ride coming. But in
what?
The movie, what's it called?
Princess and the
Frog. Oh my gosh. I totally blanked. Sorry. So yes, they use that as inspiration. So again, it's a natural fit. I think it's going to look amazing. But yeah, that's coming soon, which is awesome. Okay, finally, the construction on Pacific Wharf for its re-theme to San Francisco started on January 12th. This came out of nowhere. They just kind of announced hours later, after people noticed that the water was drained from that area, they said, oh yeah, by the way, we started construction on San Francisco today.
I don't know. I feel like I'm really excited about this.
I'm excited. Disney Twitter / Instagram, not so much. People are kind of airing grievances. I don't understand it. I love this new re-theme.
Yeah, Big Hero 6.
I know it's
gonna
not
be awesome.
It's like a made up city, but it's still San Francisco themed. So I think people are worried like that doesn't make any sense. It's California Adventure. It still needs to be themed towards California.
Right.
I don't know.
Yeah, definitely let us know. Like send us a message on Instagram. Are you excited for this re-theme or do you wish they would just keep it the way it is?
Yeah.
Let us know.
Yes. So that does it for Disneyland news. Let's go ahead and dive into that Disney World news.
All right, first up, we have some super exciting news over at Disney World. It looks like Happily Ever After fireworks show is returning to Magic Kingdom on April 3rd.
Yes, huge news. This show is amazing. We saw it in 2021.
Yes.
And loved it.
It's amazing. The soundtrack's awesome. The show's amazing. It's just one of those where you leave going, that blew my mind.
Yes. Very good show. Next up, we've got another amazing show news item, and the Harmonious barges will be removed from the lagoon in Epcot. So Epcot Forever is returning on April 3rd, 2023, and these barges are being removed.
Yeah, I'm super happy about this because they were quite the eyesore.
They didn't look good. So yeah, during the daytime, terrible. Broke the sight line of like all of the World Showcase. Mm-hmm. It just did not look good. And again, we saw it in 2021. The show wasn't ready yet, so we couldn't see really the payoff of what these ugly things could do. Mm-hmm. And they didn't do much.
Right.
So I know they had terrible maintenance issues. They were constantly breaking. And so, yeah, it's a good thing they're leaving.
Yeah.
And I heard there was rumors that they were going to repurpose them because they were so expensive, but no, they're just straight up getting rid of them.
Yikes.
Yeah.
Well.
Waste of money.
Yeah.
Next up, Disney teased the opening of Tron on social media this last week. Mm-hmm. And when we were guessing, they released a bunch of numbers. It looked like an arcade game.
Yeah, we were trying to figure out, okay, are they giving us an opening date for Tron? Like, what are they doing
What
here?
is it? Yeah. And they said, do you need a clue? And that like tied in. I don't know. No one got it. At the end of the day, in there somewhere, it stated that April 4th, 2023 is the opening date for Tron.
So excited.
So excited. So before we just had spring 2023, now we have an exact date, which is April 4th of 2023. So if any of you are going to Disney World, please let us know.
I'm so jealous.
Yes.
I cannot wait to ride this ride.
It's going to be amazing. And there's a mandatory locker system.
Yes, which I just feel like for some reason people are going to have a really hard time with that. Like, they're not going to want to do it.
They'll be confused. I think people are going to go get in line. They're going to go, hey, did you use the lockers? And you'll go, no.
Yeah.
Well, you can't have anything in your pockets because the ride design, I can totally see phones being launched out of pockets.
Yeah, because you're kind of sitting like
they're
forward.
straddling something.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I can totally see, like, if I'm wearing basketball shorts, my phone's gone.
Right.
So, yes, could hurt someone below. Next up, free resort parking has returned. So if you are staying at the Disney World Resort and any of their resort hotels, you are now saving $25 per day, which is a huge win.
That's awesome for them. I'm so excited that they did that.
Yeah. And people are being kind of cynical, like, they're just going to put that in the price of the per night. And I'm like, at the end of the day, it's a good thing.
It's still something.
It really is something. We need to be appreciative as Disney fans for these announcements. But I do wonder, why not Disneyland?
That I don't understand.
Right?
They're like, no, they're fine.
I know. Those Californians can pay.
They can pay for it.
Yeah, come on, guys. Next up, AP holders will be able to visit the parks after 2 p.m. without a park reservation.
This is awesome.
That is awesome news.
I'm very jealous of this.
Yes.
This was something that I was hoping they were going to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, and Disneyland too.
Yeah.
But nope.
No. I think they won't do that for Disneyland because it's such a locals park that they would flood. I think they'd have attendance issues, right?
I think so too.
So less so over there. But the weird caveat, the weird exception is Magic Kingdom, you won't be able to do this on the weekends. So there's one little rule, asterisk, saying, yes, you can go to any of the parks after 2 p.m. without a reservation, except for Magic Kingdom on the weekends.
Interesting.
So you'll need a reservation like normal for those days. What do we have next? Our last thing is Genie Plus over there in Disney World now includes PhotoPass. So just like Disneyland, they now have PhotoPass. Before, it had like photo filters.
Yeah, something like that.
And no one used them.
Yeah.
So now they're just included, and then now PhotoPass is included with Genie Plus, which is great.
Awesome.
Yes, but that is it for the news.
It was a lot. Big week.
Lot.
And, we put up a little, what are those called? Like a little question box on Instagram. We were kind of asking like, hey, like, what are you guys excited for?
Yeah.
It was awesome to see just for once, like the Disney community being just so excited all at once.
Yeah, it was
They're
all
like,
good
hey,
news.
look at what's that's going on. And we're only a couple weeks into January. So I have hope that this is just going to transpire into something amazing like all throughout the year, and big changes are going to be coming. So I'm really looking forward to it.
All right, you know what that cash register sound means. It is time for Shop the Mouse with Market House. Caitlin, what do you have for the people today?
We have some exciting things today. So first up, I'm going to start out with something that I already own, and it is a Loungefly backpack, and it is the classic Mickey design.
Yeah, I love this one.
This one's awesome. So this has been out for a long time, but it kind of went away from the parks. It went away from Shop Disney, and it just returned. So I thought this was a great opportunity to kind of get it out there. So basically, the design of it is it's a white loungefly, and it has Mickey Mouse like all over it. So there's multiple of him, and it's kind of in that classic standing pose. And all of his outfits are different colors. So it's just a great way to have kind of a classic look. I can't tell you how many times I've gotten compliments on this backpack just wearing it around town, like running errands or even to the park, because sometimes people don't want one that's themed.
Yeah,
you know?
like ultra theming is great, but you can only wear it like if you get a Halloween one, you can wear it for a whopping 1 or 2 months.
Right. Unless you love Halloween, then you can wear it all the time.
I guess you can wear it whenever you want.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
But this one's awesome. It's one of my favorites. So definitely check that one out. And then next up, we have some 100th anniversary merch. This is actually a hat, and it is the dark gray kind of themed color that they're going for the 100th. It has Disney 100, and it has Mickey Mouse in his new 100th anniversary outfit, which is so cute.
I like this one a lot.
Yeah, and then on the back it features the 100 Years of Wonder, which again is their slogan for this whole anniversary. So definitely awesome. This is $29.99. Again, it's pretty good for...
Yeah, it was. Yeah, and how much was the backpack?
Oh, sorry about that. I got too excited.
Yeah. I was like, I don't think you mentioned it.
The Loungefly backpack is $78, and again, that's pretty average for them.
Yeah,
So.
it used to be $75.
Was it?
Yeah, did they add $3?
You know what? I think you're right. It's $78 now, and then the fancy
premium
ones are
ones.
$85.
That's so expensive.
So like the new Jungle Cruise one,
Yeah.
like those are all more expensive.
Okay, so
this is a
$78 for the backpack, $29 for the hat.
$29 for the hat. And then lastly, we have one more Loungefly that I love. I've seen it at the parks multiple times. I'm not entirely sure if it's been on Shop Disney, but this thing, it's so cute. And it's definitely one that I've had my eye on for quite some time. It is a blue color with Pixar characters all over it. It has like the Incredibles. It has the Up House with the balloons. It has Lightning McQueen.
Is this the one it's the light blue or dark blue?
It's kind of both. It almost looks like I don't know how to describe it.
Yeah.
It's
a middle blue.
I think it depends on it depends on how you're kind of like looking at it.
Okay.
Again, this one is $78, just like the other one was. And they kind of have a very unique name for it. It's a Pixar Chibi Loungefly.
Chibi.
I don't know if it's Chibi or Chibi.
I don't know what that is.
It's so cute. It has like Wally all over it. So if you are a Pixar lover like I am, this is definitely one that I'd recommend. So
awesome.
That's all I have. Ton
Great.
of Loungefly.
Yeah.
But I love Loungefly.
I know. Great picks.
Yeah.
You love Loungefly.
I do. So always looking for some fun stuff for you guys.
All right. Thanks for joining us for another edition of Shop the Mouse with Market House. All right, and that brings us to our main segment of this week's episode, and we are going to talk Genie Plus. It has been over a year since they launched the service. So they launched it in December of 2021, and we're a little over a year into it.
Yeah, and a lot has changed.
A lot has changed, especially in the past month.
Mm-hmm.
So we wanted to share our thoughts on it, think of ways to improve it, and try and guess what Disney plans to do with the service in the future. But before we do that, let's go ahead and dive in and kind of see what the history looks like of these expedited line services, what we started with and what we now have. So let's go ahead and go back in time to 1999 when FastPass was released, and there was, of course, no fee associated with this service.
And that's back when on the FastPass card, it literally said FastPass at the top, remember? With was it Donald Duck?
Donald Duck.
Yeah.
Yep. And so we have a ton of these sitting around the house that we've collected over the years, and I'm so glad we did because it is now gone. Mm-hmm. So this was the OG RIP, this amazing service that Disney announced and released in 1999, and it just worked. It was amazing. It was free. You went up to little stands and swiped your card or ticket or your annual pass, and it spit out a little return time, and you went back at 12 o'clock to 1 o'clock to Indiana Jones, and you got to skip most of the line. It just worked. It was awesome. Then the next iteration was called FastPass Plus. This launched only in Walt Disney World in 2013, and the system allowed guests to make reservations up to 60 days in advance and change at any time. FastPass Plus was a reservation and scheduling system, unlike the old paper FastPass system, which was a virtual queuing concept. Additionally, guests were encouraged to reserve FastPass Plus sections with their group and were allowed to change the group's FastPass Plus reservation at any time.
So it looks like the reservation idea did start in 2013.
Yes, because Disney World really wanted you planning your vacation
Right.
2 months in advance.
Right.
And they wanted to kind of see and kind of distribute crowds throughout the park as best as possible.
Okay.
Okay, in 2017, Max Pass launched in Disneyland. Again, a Disneyland only service. This service allowed guests to book fast passes on their phone, and it also included PhotoPass. It costs $10 per day, and AP holders, annual pass holders, could add it to their pass for only $75 for the year.
You know, I have to say this had to have been our favorite system.
I loved this
I
system.
remember when this came out, and preferably, do you remember when we were in Cars Land? I remember saying this to you, being like, can you believe it? We can get this on our phone. Like, we don't have to go. We were standing in front
across
of
the yeah.
We can get one on our phone. We don't have to jump over to Disneyland to get a new fast pass. So the idea that it was all just on there and you didn't have to just run around and do everything.
I know,
it was crazy.
And I think the biggest thing for me was that it was optional.
Right.
So you can opt to pay $10 per day for convenience, which was awesome, right? Give me that option. But you also had a free version to use as well. So if you wanted to physically run around the parks and get fast passes, you could still do that, and it was still free.
However, it didn't last very long.
No.
Because then came along a little thing called COVID.
Yeah, COVID. So that hit in 2020 primarily, right? Disneyland was closed for 13 months. Do you remember that?
Oh my gosh.
And when the park reopened, there were standby lines only. So fast pass really didn't exist past 2019.
Right.
On August 18th, 2021, Disney would announce the eventual retirement of the fast pass system and its replacement by Genie Plus / Lightning Lane. Genie Plus / Lightning Lane launched in Walt Disney World on October 19th, 2021 and December 8th, 2021 at Disneyland. The service includes access to Lightning Lanes, which includes most rides, and PhotoPass. And just announced at Walt Disney World, it now includes PhotoPass, like we mentioned before. Before it had photo filters, but now it's
right.
just like us.
Mm-hmm. And it looks like it originally had been having a fixed price of $15 per day at Walt Disney World. So it wasn't varying by, is it a popular day or like what it currently is now?
Yes, $20 per day in Disneyland. Again, I don't know why the pricing changes from coast to coast. I guess we just pay a premium over here. But now it goes up to $25 per person. No, $30, excuse me. So it's $30 per person. During really busy times. So during the December craziness, right, around Christmas time, it got up to $30 per person per day.
That's so expensive.
That is steep.
And it, again, not working well.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
But not working well.
We're going to pretend we didn't see that.
Yeah, we're not going to say that. And then also there's something separate called individual lightning lanes. This is when I talk about it, it confuses me. Every single time I talk about the service, whether it's with family or friends visiting the park, I had a coworker visiting in mid-December. And she was asking me for all the tips. She hasn't been in 3 years. And while I was speaking, I was confusing myself with this system. So anyways, individual Lightning Lane attractions always varied in price, but now it goes up to about $25 per person if you want to skip the line for those rides. So really quick, before we dive into our thoughts and where we're at here, let's talk about what rides this service works on. So Genie Plus, the thing that you pay per person, per day, $30 max, right? Varies from $20 to $30. That includes, in Disneyland, includes Autopia, Big Thunder Mountain, Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters, Haunted Mansion, Indiana Jones, It's a Small World, Matterhorn Bobsleds, Millennium Falcon Smuggler's Run, Roger Rabbit's Cartoon Spin, Space Mountain, Splash Mountain, and finally Star Tours The Adventure Continues. Now, the only ride that you do not have access with to skip the line with Genie Plus is Star Wars Rise of the Resistance.
Right.
So that's the only individual lightning lane for Disneyland. Mm-hmm. And that gets very expensive.
Right. Because again, with it not being included in Genie Plus, even if you buy Genie Plus and you'd like to get on Rise of the Resistance without waiting in standby line, it is in that additional fee, which can be very pricey.
Yeah. So imagine spending $20 or let's say $30 in December, $30 for us. So it's $60. And then you want to go ride Rise of the Resistance, another $50 on top of that. So you're $110 into just line management.
Right. Oh my goodness.
On top of your park ticket. Mm-hmm. Crazy.
It's crazy. And then it looks like over at Disney California Adventure, Genie Plus attractions do cover Goofy Sky School, Grizzly River Run, Guardians, Incredicoaster, Monsters Inc., Soarin' Around the World, and Toy Story Mania.
And actually one more.
the new one.
Web Slingers was recently added to the Genie Plus family,
Right.
we can call it. And so it used to be individual Lightning Lane, wasn't super popular, I think, with the whole purchasing thing. So they now include it in Genie Plus.
Right. And the only individual Lightning Lane that you can get right now is Radiator Springs Racers.
And this is the only ride, I'm not going to lie, this is the only ride I've been tempted to purchase an individual Lightning Lane for, just because I love it so much. It's the perfect dark ride, in my opinion. And we've never purchased, fun fact, Caitlin and I have never purchased an individual Lightning Lane.
I don't like the idea.
I can't
it's
bring
always
myself.
Me.
I know.
It's always me that's nope.
I was the one that was like, let's just buy it for cars.
Yeah.
And you were like, no.
It was $20 a person. And I'm like, it's $40.
It's a lot of money.
Like
Don't get me wrong.
minutes.
I'm not looking to go blow a ton of money, but
Yeah.
also at the same time, I was like desperate to ride it. It
Right.
was summertime. It was hot. But I think that's what they're banking on. People
I know,
just to
but
relent.
I can't do it.
Okay. So here we are. We have this new, extremely expensive service that doesn't work nearly as well as the original FastPass service. But let me tell you why I don't think it works very well. And again, we talked about this last week. I apologize if you heard that, my rant, but I have a little more context.
More context, yeah.
Yeah, and a little more information here. So these are my opinions, my thoughts. This is not fact. And please, please, please let me know what you think. Caitlin, do you want to do like an Instagram thing and have people share?
Yeah, I'll put something up.
Cool. Okay, so let me know what you think. This is my opinion, and Caitlin, you can tell me what you think as well.
Okay.
So Disney is incentivized, to sell as many Genie Plus and Lightning Lanes in a day, even though they claim they're capping sales to maintain guest experience. So that's the first thing that Bob Iger did within a week of him being there. They announced they're capping sales of Genie Plus to maintain guest experience. I still think it's way too high.
Right.
Still grossly oversold. People are paying for the service because they see standby times reaching 120 minutes. The problem is, the more people that purchase Genie Plus, both lines get progressively worse. Disney reportedly lets in one party for every 50 Genie Plus guests. One. So it could be, if your party's one person, they let in one person per 50 Genie Plus guests. So when you add people to an already overcrowded Lightning Lane, both parties get angry because the expedited line isn't so expedited because of the amount of people and standby guests are stuck standing there for 60 minutes without moving. And this is from personal experience.
Oh, yes. At Cars, actually.
At Cars, the guy turned to us and said, I apologize. I have so many people coming in the Lightning Lane.
This was a cast member.
It's a cast member, sorry. Cast member that's controlling the line. He had to have let in 300 people without letting in a single standby person.
Yeah, and in the moment, it's like you're super frustrated. You're
and
like,
I'm not mad at him. He's just following what he's told to do.
Yeah, because for example, the line, I think it was a 60-minute wait. We've already been in line for almost an hour and a half, and all these Lightning Lane people are going again. They did pay for it. Totally understand. But in that moment when the cast member is letting in however many people that are in Lightning Lane, and we're all just sitting there, and then he turns to standby and he's like, okay, it's our turn, and then two people get to go, and then he stops the line. It's hard because everyone in line is just getting that fiery, like, what?
They're
like,
steaming.
why can't we go right now?
Totally.
So it's just a bummer because then that frustration gets directed at the cast members, which is not their fault. They're being told.
Exactly. They have a system.
It's just, yeah. Messy.
So it is messy and it's not working. So let me tell you what I think would work. So we talked about this last week, but I think if they're committed to only a paid option in the parks, then they need to increase the price to Universal levels. Now, before you jump down my back, and mind you, I just looked on Universal's website. It ranges from about $90. They say it gets up to $350 per person per day.
Yeah, which I'm kind of confused. I wonder what that entails. Like, what is $350?
No. That's just range on, I think, when you visit.
Oh,
so I think on Christmas Day, it's going to be $350 to skip lines.
Gotcha. Okay, that makes sense.
Okay, so I'm thinking $100 or $200 per day per person. Now, again, before you jump down my throat and tell me I'm wrong, I'm not saying, I'm not suggesting that Disneyland becomes a park for only the wealthy. That's not at all what I'm suggesting.
No.
It's already on the path towards that with price increases and stuff. Let's hopefully Iger stops that stuff. But this would decrease the amount of guests participating in the service, making the Lightning Lanes actually worth it, while also making standby lines reasonable. You've got less people participating in this program. That means Lightning Lane waits are 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. And whereas standby line continues to function normally.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, because it's one of those things where you think of that price. Let's say it's $150 a person. Is that outrageous? Yes.
100%.
But it would almost cut the people buying it, let's just say in half. You would go through lines so quickly because of how many people wouldn't buy it. And then people that are in standby lines, instead of waiting 2 hours to go on, I don't know, Peter Pan, you'd wait like probably 45 minutes.
Yeah. Except, is Peter Pan included?
No,
in
I'm just
Okay.
thinking.
I was like, wait, did they add
No,
that?
I'm just thinking of like a popular line that I like hate.
Yeah,
waiting
I
in.
hate that line. So I think that wait times would be way more reasonable if they increase the price. And again, I'm not saying we wouldn't even participate in this. There is no way I'd spend $400
No.
to skip lines. No way.
I can't even pay 40.
No. So, but this is why I'm saying I think we'd all benefit from less people using the
Right.
service. All of us would. Because listen, when we went to Walt Disney World in April of 2021, there were no FastPass services, right? They didn't introduce it back. And it was amazing.
No, the lines weren't bad at all.
The longest we waited was like 70 minutes maybe. And that was
Frozen.
no, that was like 50, I think. 70 was for Mine Train.
Oh, yes.
Yep. And that was the longest we waited. That was it. So I think if people remember, standby lines only actually work, I would, in my opinion, better. I think in your head, skipping the line using a free FastPass service and stuff feels better. But at the end of the day, I think the math works out that standby lines are just fine.
Yeah. And if you think about it, like how many people have been going to Disneyland recently, it's been crowded. When a system is so cheap to get right now, everyone and their mother is going to get into it because they don't want to wait in lines, because the second they walk down Main Street, they're going to go, this place is crazy.
Yep.
I'm buying that service.
Yep.
If it was a little more expensive or even way more expensive, that would just cut that in half, and we wouldn't have to deal with the long lines on both ends of standby. And
yeah, because I think people feel duped, like purchasing this program. Again, some days it's amazing. Don't get me wrong.
oh yeah,
We've had, I'd say it's like, I'd argue 40-60. 40% of the time, I looked at Caitlin and said this was worth the money.
oh 100%.
60% of the time, I'm very frustrated with it, saying we used it about 3 or 4 times during the day.
Our last trip actually.
Yeah, with my family in September. And right at the end of September, right, for Halloween.
Yeah.
It was very busy.
We only got to go on like 3 or 4 rides.
It was
the whole
terrible.
day.
And the return times kept getting pushed out. And I'm sure, yeah, if we sat there and stared at our phones and sat there and refreshed, we could get stuff. But when you're working with a larger party,
And you don't want to do that on vacation.
yeah, I don't want to stare at my phone.
No.
Yeah. So again, at the end of the day, it's not a good service, but Disney's out to make money, right? We have to remind ourselves that Disney is in the business of making money, just like BP is, and Chevron and Target. They're in the business of making money. And again, I know it's real nostalgic for us and it feels good, but it's still a business.
Right. Because, when we were talking about this last night, just the idea of like the podcast, I wanted to tell Caleb, like, well, I just wanted to go back to the way it was because I liked Max Pass. And I liked the system, and I liked that it was cheaper, and I liked that you could do it on your phone, that everyone
And it was
happy
optional,
with it.
right?
But
Optional.
it's like, as Caleb mentioned, he's like, we can't do that. They're not going to go back to that. That was too easy. That was too cheap. And unfortunately, it was one of our favorites, but it's like, this is now. So I'm hoping that, again, it's unfortunate because I am not going to be the one that's paying that much money for it. I think it would be crazy, but I think it would benefit us if other people, there was a small amount of people paying for it
Sure.
at a higher price.
Sure. Disney would still get their money that they want. Maybe not as much because it's not as much volume, right?
Right.
But they'd still get they still have a paid option available. They still have some kind of revenue from this paid opt-in service, whereas the rest of us can stand in our standby lines and reasonable standby lines and be happy about
Right.
it. I'd be happier. But again, I got a lot of friends. I got a lot of family. That's just, my brother has a fast pass, annual pass, a magic key. A family friend has a magic key, and they're all going, yeah, we're not renewing.
But yeah, it's interesting.
Yeah. So I hope again, I do have hope. I don't want this to be too negative. I do think Bob Iger is going to make positive changes to the service. Again, he's a very smart man, and one of the main reasons of him coming back was because he was concerned with how expensive the park experience was getting with declining experience, right?
Yep. And just like the statement from Josh Tomorrow last week, which is saying how basically, I'm
He's
not going to
listening.
quote him, but like they're listening to people's
Yeah.
concerns. And this is a very big concern with the Disney Community, Genie Plus and Lightning Lane.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming they have something going on in the works.
So I don't think we're ever going to get a free option back, but they may introduce new rules / pricing to fix the incredibly long lines. And I think it's going to have to be announced sooner than later because Iger's only around for a couple of years. And these changes take a long time to develop. And I think he's going to have to, if we don't hear anything by the end of this year, I don't know what's going to happen.
Right. I don't know. I mean, look at what's happened already.
True. The guy's been busy.
Yes.
So I really do hope that there's something better. Again, at the end of the day, I don't want to sound too negative. You'll still have a great time whether you purchase it or not. Disneyland is still Disneyland. It's expensive, but you're still going to have a great time. We still have a great time. We do our own thing. We don't ride a ton of rides, to be honest.
Yeah.
We kind of walk around and eat food and kind of enjoy the atmosphere.
Yeah, and like we always say, your trip is what you make it. So if you go there and the park is literally just crowded, crazy, okay? And there's long lines and you're like, I'm not paying for Genie Plus, it's too expensive, or it's sold out, or whatever it is. You are the one that's going to make sure that your trip is either good or it's going to be bad. So it's all about your attitude and just being positive.
Sure, and I think I don't want people getting, again, the idea is like, oh, just kind of suck it up and be happy that you're there.
No.
But yeah, you can be totally frustrated. I guess what I'm saying this from personal experience. When I went I was having a hard time the last time you went. At the end of the trip, I turned to Caitlin and said, there's no way I'm renewing our pass. Like, there's no way I'm doing it. I was frustrated. It was hot. It was like 90 degrees the whole weekend. And again, we were with a bigger group. So I don't know. I was kind of scatterbrained. And again, the Genie Plus experience, I was like, this is broken. The park's not fun anymore. And I was getting really frustrated. This was after a year of going a lot. So I kind of had to gut check myself and say, where am I at, right? But I think at the end of the day, I had to remind myself that I'm like, Caleb, you're with family. You're up and walking and having a good time with family and friends. Kind of like it was a dude, check moment. Mm-hmm. Like, I've got it. This is great. Mm-hmm. If I'm really if the biggest issue in my life right now is complaining in my experience at Disneyland
or Genie Plus,
we're in a good spot, mm-hmm. right? We're far better off than what a lot of people are experiencing right now. Right. So I guess it's all what I think Caitlin's trying to say is everything's just relative, mm-hmm. and just I guess remind yourself what you're complaining about and just have a good time.
Yeah,
it doesn't have to be perfect, right? We got rained out at Disney World for half the day, and we just. And I'm going to be honest, my natural reaction is to be grumpy and mad. And I go, I spent $4,000 to be here. I want to be at the parks. And Caitlin was like just laughing and going like, this is fun. Look at, we're soaked at the park.
It was the best memory ever. I'm just going to tell it. Everyone's like, oh gosh, here we go.
Okay,
so we were in Animal Kingdom and we knew rain was coming, but we didn't understand that when it's going to rain in Disney World.
In Florida, it rains.
It's a monsoon. And so we're eating lunch, like we're all excited. We're at this new place and we're eating outside. All of a sudden, I'm not kidding, the sky just turned just dark gray and just downpoured. So we're like, okay, we're going to stand under like a little,
like an overhang thing. Yeah.
And I'm like, you know what? It rains in Florida all the time. It'll be gone in like 5 minutes. 10 minutes goes by. It's still pouring. And I'm like, we just have to go back to the hotel, but we're in Animal Kingdom. So to get back out to the buses, it was like a mile. It felt like
it was a really long walk, and the line for the bus was a mile long.
Yes, and in that moment, you kind of just want to be like, "Oh my gosh, this is ruining my day. My feet are soaking wet." Because mind you, our journey from lunch to the little place to stand under, like the little entryway at the shop,
our feet were
soaking wet. And I'm talking like you can step and water is literally gushing out of your shoes. But in that moment, you just want to turn to be like, "Oh my gosh, this ruined my trip." Yeah. And I'm like, no, I literally couldn't stop laughing because of how fun we were having. We were literally just running through the rain, just laughing as hard as we could. It was so fun. So
it was good.
Moment,
and you did. And again, I was laughing and having a good time in the moment. But when I was standing, waiting an hour and a half for a bus, I was starting to get grumpy again.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was during COVID. So they had less staff to staff those buses. And also that when there's a rush to the buses, when it's pouring down. But again, I looked and there's a dad in front of me. He's got his little daughter in his hands.
And he's holding the stroller.
They're soaked. They're sopping wet. She needs a diaper change is what we overheard. And I'm like feeling so bad and he's just cracking up. He's looking at us. He's cracking jokes. And I'm like, Caleb, suck it up, dude. Mm-hmm. Like, look at this couple, this family. They're having a great time. This dad's got so many things going on. I did help him. I helped him with a stroller.
Oh, into the bus.
I did my good deed for the day. Yeah. But yes, at the end of the day, I think it's all just, I think you just got to check yourself sometimes and just go, you know what? This is vacation. Have a good time. No matter what happens, just we're on vacation. So
100%.
That's it. We went off on a tangent there, but Genie Plus, it's not a great service. It's not fun. We don't love it, but I think they're going to improve on it, and I think it'll only get better. Even if it gets more expensive, just remind yourself that this is a good thing, and hopefully, this is what I'm predicting. If I'm terribly wrong, I apologize. Don't come for me, but I think at the end of the day, it's only going to improve with Iger now making his positive changes.
I can't wait. I can't wait to see where it goes.
Yeah, same here. Okay, thank you so much for listening. You can find us over on Instagram at Market House Podcast and Twitter at Market House Pod. Make sure to follow us over there for pictures from the park and exciting news and announcements. We'll be there next week, so you'll see a ton of stories, I'm sure, and updates from us from the park. Please consider leaving a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Giant help to the show. Share it with a friend. If they want to hear us rant about Genie Plus and getting wet at Disney World and you think they'd like it, send it over to them. And finally, remember to use our Undercover Tourist link for your future trip bookings. Huge help to us. It is in the episode details for that link. And Caitlin?
And as always, Caleb will be linking all the Shop the Mouse links down below in the description, as well as they will be in stories on Monday morning.
Yes, they will. Thank you so much for joining us. We'll be back next time with another episode of Market House. Bye.